Am I actually recording? There we go. Hello, welcome back to Minecraft Better Than Adventure. Last time, I ended the video when I ran out of stone, and today I'm continuing, except I ran back to the base and, got more stone. It is disappearing shockingly quickly. So yeah, now we're, in that process again. And yeah, I shall continue. Man, this would have been a very fun thing to do, like, 15 years ago, or whatever, but it is what it is. Something funny which I've been thinking about is, in regards to, like, again, old YouTube stuff, right? In general, the old console stuff, it is, I think I mentioned this before, but, it's kind of weird experiencing so much stuff after, like, all of its mainstream attention has already completely dissipated. Like, okay, granted, like, maybe I'm not exactly, the best person to talk about this because it's not like I have that much experience, but, um, like, you're gonna run into these situations where you're going to be, like, for instance, like I am right now playing an old version of Minecraft, but for most of my stuff, it covers consoles that have long since been irrelevant, and the idea of doing something on a modern console, I just don't find really interesting because, like with the older systems, the pipelines or whatever, they make some amount of sense. Like you can discuss them in ways which are kind of interesting, but you just run into the stupidish sort of problem where the videos will kind of get boring the more complicated the system is, right? Like, because whenever something is higher, at least to me, like, whenever there's more and more abstraction, there's more and more that you kind of have to simplify, unless, because, you know, on a PS1, I can sort of explain everything the system does. On a PS2, you can sort of do the same, but already, like, when you get to the cell processor, you kind of have to start, assuming people already know things, you know? You have to say, yeah, this is the rasterizes, you know? You can't explain, oh, it does this. It's all sort of abstracted from you through APIs and such, and it kind of loses its luster. But generally, I'm just kind of annoyed that, for so much of this stuff, I've just been, you know, kind of in the backdrop, you know? Like, I've obviously been here in the sense that I've experienced a lot of stuff, but it's really not the same as, like, physically, literally existing within the, like, gaming sphere at the gaming sphere at the time the things were popular, you know? Like, if you could imagine the PS2, right? Maybe not PS1, that was way too long ago for, like, oh, shit. Like, that was too long ago for a specific discussion, but yeah. Like, if you could imagine back, I guess if I'm already going back down there, I'm going to, I'm gonna, like, go and get those 2 stacks from earlier. But yeah, like, that's kind of the idea, at least in my mind. Because on one hand, you do definitely have, like, a wider sort of understanding these days from when it was back then. Like, you know, back in the day, a decent chunk of people thought the PS1 was more powerful than the N64, but that the N64 had, like, somewhat more stable visuals, but they were also really blurry. So then the discussion is like, okay, well, I guess they were kind of neck and neck, and in reality, it was more that the N64's architecture was poorly designed, so it was, for most of its life, completely crippled in its actual processing power, and not that it was even, like, at least on the CPU front, it really wasn't even that comparable to the PS1. It was just flat out faster. Also, let me try this one more time. Somewhere here, there's like a water source block that all the water comes out of. And I do not know where the water source block is. I have to do this in creative mode, because it's, I only try to do bugs this way. But, yeah. Finally, I got it. Now, there's another one over here. Where would this be? I promise myself, if this doesn't naturally clear up for long enough, I am just going to do this to it, because it's one of those things with, like, this is essentially single player, so who gives a shit? But yeah, in my humble opinion, I think that it's completely fine to, use this kind of, like, creative mode stuff when you have a bug, a glitch, that is giving you pain and anguish, and, yeah. Well, an issue is, I don't know how many water blocks are actually here, because there may be some invisible ones. And I'm pretty sure I did literally, like, restart the entire server to ensure that, like, things may be reprocessed in some way, and the area was literally reloaded. But we can try... Yeah, no, look, there are still... okay, well, now that's updated. But yeah, let me really quickly stop the server. Let me load the server back up. And it's gone. Okay, and if I put down some water and remove it, is it going to break again? Or is it going to actually continue to go down? Oh. Okay, wait, I think we're fine. Good. Now let's exit creative mode and continue building. Well, that was fun. Let us continue. So, what is the plan after I'm done with this layer? Well, there's not gonna be one more layer. Don't worry. It would be really funny to do this again, but it's gonna be... I'm gonna add, like, a small half layer. What I mean is, it's gonna be just a few more blocks up. Like, let's do 2 blocks or whatever. And then I'm just gonna do it with, like, a flat sort of platform. Kind of like just a concrete cast sort of thing. So we can continue to build on top after a complete layer of stone, which I assume will take a lot of resources, but I'll be able to do it, don't you worry. That's the plan. And some of you may be wondering, well, what's the point of constructing the fucking Colossus here? I mentioned this before. It's because I like weird builds, and I think that it's a good way to drum up some interest for the series. Because the series has been dead for so many months, I feel like after I started doing the underground stuff, I think, well, I want to get stuff going again, because if you haven't noticed, a decent chunk of this channel recently has been... The videos haven't really been coming out, not because I haven't been recording stuff, but because I keep starting projects that I don't properly finish. That sort of stuff, because, I'm in that stage of, like, specifically, like, university stuff where there's not actually that much work to do, but I'm just so fucking tired of everything in the fucking university stuff that, like, I don't know, man. It'd be nice to just get, like, after I'm done with university, which is either now or later, depending on how well I perform, depending on, like, how that's gonna go, fuck, I would happily get a year of, like, a year-long job of, like, moving boxes. Maybe not moving boxes per se, but just fucking throw me into, like, a fucking home appliance store. Something where I don't have to think very hard for about a year. And then I'll consider actually, like, getting a job in my field. You know, sometimes you just have to get something. Like, you have to be relatively busy, otherwise you turn into a feral ghoul from Fallout, but, like, you can't, you know, I've noticed this, it's kind of funny, right? Whenever I don't have any university work, I am way less productive in my own hobbies. I don't know if that's, like, a normal thing, but, like, when you have no real timetable, everything just kind of collapses around you, and I find that kind of funny. So yeah. Still could be worse. It may get worse, actually. Come to think of it, there are some concerning things spawning globally, but, you know, for me, it's fine, it's whatever. The main funny thing is, I feel it's like one of those things for me, where the number one thing which I dislike the most in life is, probably just uncertainty, you know? Having a big ol' fat timetable in advance that doesn't change ever, which is something which never happens, is just difficult. I remember how back in the day, you know, when I was in school, the concept of, like, a sick professor was, like, incredible. Well, depending on which professor it was, sometimes it sucked. But, like, the idea, oh, wait, especially if there's no replacement, so they're just like, look, guys, you have to go home. That was like, yay! But this time it's like, oh, great. So I've been, and back in the day, we'd get, like, informed on the day that we were already there, so that's fun. But yeah, like, generally speaking, what would happen is, that, and it'd be like, yay! But this time it's like, I get there and it's like, okay, so I don't have the class, I can go home. Oops, I gotta go back. Or alternatively, and this is obviously the better one, but, like, you know, oh yeah, I've been informed in advance that the one class I'm gonna have that day isn't there. And then the entire day kind of begins to fall apart. Yeah, that's the correct one. Because I just don't have anything for the timetable to center around. And this wasn't the case in basically every single... like, this wasn't the case, especially in high school. This wasn't the case back in, like, the start of university when... I remember, like, specifically, right, with the way things were organized, right? I had my main... Like, you know, I remember in some days it was like, okay, fuck it, I'm gonna have to finish up this, I remember back in the day, right? I remember using, like, my spare time in the morning sometimes before class started to finish up something I was working on, and that was fun, because it felt like I was, like, you know, getting more use of my time. I remember I had even before that, there was a channel I dare not speak of, because it was garbage. Thank God it's deleted permanently. Thank God I was smart enough to do that. But yeah, I remember literally I would, like, record a Let's Play episode before class. Because, fuck it, you know, that sort of stuff. Not like I don't record stuff, like, before I have to go somewhere. I remember last summer? Yeah, I was... You know when you got the impromptu entire episode of, like, the entire series of New Super Mario Bros. 2? It was because I was like, okay, well, I have this game now, and, I kind of want to record some episodes of something that I can get out relatively really quickly, so I can go with my family to a thing. And I was like, you know what, fuck it. And I think in, like, 1 or 2 afternoons, I just went through the entire game and got all the fucking golden star coins. And that was that. Bin. And some people may see that and think to themselves, wow, you're really disorganized. And the answer is, well, it's a hobby. I don't have to organize around a hobby. I don't need to have deadlines. I edited 6 minutes of a 12-minute video, and the reason why I stopped is because to get some footage, I realized I had to open up SNES 9X and use like the ugliest like high-resolution filter that I could find, just to make a point of how like how upscaling old 3D games is basically on a similar level to using like one of those filters, because it makes everything just kind of look worse. It does make it look higher density, higher resolution, but it just looks uglier, you know? And of course you can theoretically, and maybe even hypothetically, argue that it's not like that, because you're just increasing the resolution and not changing the visuals, but the visuals are designed around the resolution. So inherently, by changing the resolution, you are changing the visuals. But it's pedantic, so whatever. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it matters to me, but, you know. I know specifically what kind of gets me to make videos more than anything is, like, it's the idea that what I want to say kinda needs to be said. Wait a minute. Are these more than 10? Hold on. Let's count them. 1. Too fast. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I make these too short? 1, 2, 3, 4. Fuck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Well, actually, that's not bad, because then I'll have the top tower be, you know, not 8, but, like, even less, like 3 or 4 in total. So actually, it kind of works out, even if I did royally screw up this entire thing. That would have been really funny. Because I would have to move the entire thing by 2 blocks. And the only thing which I could keep are the pillars. Oh well. Okay. I have to do it like this. And, yeah, it is kind of funny to me how, if I was a larger creator, this is the sort of thing, right? If you're a big creator on YouTube, no matter how stupid your take is, people are going to take it seriously, and people are going to repeat it. If you're a small YouTuber, and especially if you're critical of anything a big YouTuber may say, unless that big YouTuber specifically has, like, a pretty vocal dislike about him, you're going to get a lot of people who, will just throw, like, okay, this is something which I've noticed, instead of arguing that point, a lot of the time, fans of a specific YouTuber, I've noticed, will not actually defend the argument as much as they will defend the YouTuber, or they will just repeat the YouTuber's argument back at you as a gotcha, as if that wins the discussion, you know? It's... I don't understand why they do it, but they do. And, what can you really do except, make fun of them? I don't know. And there are a lot of YouTubers who I would, like, pick at least a few bones with, mostly for, stupid misinformation reasons, because, as you know, I am a big fan of correct information. And I also think that, there is no point in, like, you know, being overly critical of people who just kind of sometimes fuck up, because it happens. But, there's a special amount of distaste I have towards anyone who will not only make a really shitty take, but especially if they will then either defend it by, you know, sort of half either inciting their fan base to start doing stuff or to or they like, how do I explain this? They do the whole Schrodinger's asshole bit, which if you don't know is basically they're going to like take up an argument which they may actually believe or not, but if you say that I've noticed this with some like video review people where they'll like make an absolutely terrible review and then it's like, oh yeah guys, now that there's been a lot of talk about my video, here I am to announce that I, the famous comedian YouTuber who never once in the video said the video was a joke, it's obviously a joke. Please ignore the fact that I was defending my video as a genuine review on Reddit before the backlash got a little bit too much for me to handle. This is definitely a non-serious review and was never intended to be taken seriously. Please not put it in the news that I made a bad review. What am I talking about? Well, I mentioned this before at least a couple times. Well, there are actually quite a few creators who've done this specific, you know, set of actions, but one of the biggest bones to pick I have with like this toxic type of video game reviewer, specifically Video Game Donkey, the example which I used of him specifically there was the Octopath Traveler review, because it is not only egregious, but the only defense of that review I've seen people make that isn't just either bullshitting or repeating the same arguments that he made in the video was just saying, well, that was a while ago. Which is true, that it was a while ago. But, I'm gonna be honest. I need to see character growth on someone before I can accept that that was a while ago. If someone had, like, a situation where, oh, they were mean to someone on League of Legends, like, so much that they got banned for toxicity and then raged how they were a valued creator so they should be treated with, like, special privileges. That happened to Donkey. Donkey did that. And I specifically do not think that he is that toxic today. Maybe I'm wrong, but from what I know about him, I don't think that he was wrong, and I don't think that we should hold that against him because I think he's changed. But until I see evidence that his reviews have changed, you know, in one of his reviews he was like, "Oh yeah, From Software was the company." I think he said something like along the lines of, "Oh yeah, this company, oh yeah, they used to make these random shitty games, but then they made Dark Souls." And yeah, that's meant to be a joke or whatever. But is it a joke if a lot of people take it seriously? Is it a joke if so many people are going to, you know, you gotta realize a lot of people are just going to, if you're the YouTuber, a lot of people are just gonna listen to your opinion and then say, yeah, dude, that's my opinion. You know, finally somebody said that. And chances are, with something that's as niche as the like older From Software games, you know, Kingsfield, you know, Armored Core, Shadow Tower, Echo Knight, or the 50 other ones, yeah, chances are, oh, by the way, this is a little bit eye damaging, chances are you're going to, like, chances are a lot of people are going to just take your word for it that the old games were shitty, because so many people genuinely have never played those games, or they maybe saw, like, one of the Kingsfield games for a few seconds, realized the game was running on a PS1, and then decided, like, nope, well, that looks too old for me. And, then they just never bothered. Sometimes they do that with Kingsfield 4, or sometimes they just don't like it because it's in first person. I don't know, it depends. But yeah, maybe because of the controls, because yeah, some people assume that all tank control movement is terrible and bad and evil, when in reality it's really not that difficult to get used to, when in fact From Software's control style that they have in their FromSoft oh yeah, FromSoft's control style in their FromSoft games. No, but their control style in the Kingsfield series is definitely, and also like their early Armored Core games, is one of the best control schemes for like controls which do not have like analog joysticks. Like, we're talking about a control scheme that would it's very straightforward, but works really well. Where you just have, like, tank controls on your, D-pad, then you look left and right with the... Sorry, you move left and right with the shoulders, and you, just target up and down with L2 and R2. It sounds a little bit weird when I explain it at first, but... Oh, by the way, yeah. I'm gonna do this sort of like a cradle, I guess, if you could describe it as that. Oh, fuck. I should... I'm gonna do it this way, so... It's gonna get a little... Oh, fuck. Again! It's gonna be a little bit dark at night, but it's gonna be fine. Oh, and by the way, over here, I'm going to add these on every single... There we go. On every single one of these, pillars. But yeah, this is sort of the idea on top. Oops. And then what I'll do is I'll just continue building this out. And once I make the corner, I'm gonna do the middle, and then I'm gonna do, like, the internal connections, and then I'm going to use upside-down half slabs of slate bricks, I think? Or maybe just slate... like, polished slate? We'll see. I also did kind of forget to do a lot of the pillars, so let's go back and do them. Now, yeah, some of you may be wondering, is all of this necessary? And the answer is yes. Because I specifically want there to be, like, a pathway down next to the giant concrete pillar. And for you to, like, be able to sort of look around and see the entire sort of truss structure holding up the base on top. I know it sounds weird, but that's the point. It's meant to be weird. Weird is cool in this case. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say for in regards to this. And it is, I'll admit, a little bit stupid to continuously, and yeah, continuously basically, talk about random niche internet stuff. It gets tiring. Oh, one off from the accident being a miracle. There's so much random funny stuff that I sometimes encounter online that I really, really can't talk about on YouTube. I mean, other YouTubers have, but I don't want to talk about it. Because I'll be honest with you, I sometimes, like, I try to avoid my, it's a forbidden fruit thing, right? You want to avoid watching videos that appeal to... You know, the kind of crowd who will just watch someone, like, you know, crash out online, not because they're like, oh wow, this is happening, but like, oh wow, I wonder how this will end. You know, you wanna... It feels at least a little bit icky, but, when I'm, like, stuck in transit, on the tram, on the bus, on whatever else transit exists, on the fucking helicopter, no... But, if you are in that situation, you will look through your phone, power bank connected, infinite data from your mobile provider, and you're like, okay, fuck it, I'll probably be home in exactly, like, 2 hours, and there's this 2-hour video. Yeah, sure, whatever. And that's how I learned about a lot of stuff that I otherwise would have never learned about. It's how I learned about, a lot of FNAF stuff, funnily enough. Because if I'm bored, I'm scrolling through the fucking YouTube feed, I see an image of Golden Freddy, I may consider clicking on it. If I'm scrolling through the feed, I read Five Nights at Wario's Retrospective, a video which I haven't watched yet. This is me demanding somebody to make one. one of the YouTubers who makes all the other like FNAF fan game retrospectives really needs to get onto that one. But yeah, like you know, I see something funny, I click. And sometimes you learn about like the creators. That's how I learned about Darkside Phil. It's one of those things where I never really knew of his existence until I randomly stumbled on across some guy talking about Phil. I think that's how we discovered Quantum TV through the same channel, I think. From like, sadly, I don't think the channel itself is very, how should we say, polite. In the sense that it's kind of cringy, kind of chuddy. But it did do like a documentary on both Phil and on this like, there was this whole drama with this guy who was like reviewing and calibrating TVs, but he was like acting really strange, and there was a lot of weird shit about him, and he was like copyright striking basically any creator who would name him in his, not name him, but any critic who would like be critical of him or show any of his videos or whatever. There was this whole thing, and then like this guy was being stalked by him because he made a video documenting him, and there was this, and it's just one of those examples of what could possibly go wrong making a video about someone who acts like that. Well, so what happens, I feel, with a lot of those channels is that they never actually end up making videos on individuals who will, like, you know, because there are very few individuals online who are both, like, extremely, like, dangerously vindictive, and also, like, interesting enough to talk about. Because there are, like, random trolls who will try to, like, find, or not even trolls, but just, like, random maladjusted people who will try to find a lot of info on you, but a lot of them aren't very interesting, you know? A lot of them are just the kinds of people you want to watch out for. And, the issue is, you know, those people aren't really interesting to these kinds of creators, but most often, at least to, maybe not the creators themselves, but to their audiences, the most interesting people are often, like, the most vulnerable people who'll just cause a scene. And so, like, for every single video that's on some guy who's just kind of insane or, like, you know, really shitty, and people just document the shitty things he's doing, like, for every one of those, there's, like, 50 videos on some random person. And it's, like, really sad to see. And it's just kind of, like, icky, you know? And it's like, oh yeah, well, aren't you moralizing somebody's viewer choices? Maybe a little bit, but, like, I don't know, man. I'm talking about myself. I don't want to watch a video on someone who's, like, very clearly not all there, saying things that are stupid. Sometimes you just gotta learn to leave people be, and if, like, that kind of person goes out of their way to, like, try to harass you, just ignore him. Eventually he's gonna go away, and if he doesn't, well then fucking, I don't know, maybe try to see if you can do something legal about it, and if not, no, but, like, especially if you see that somebody clearly, you know, doesn't really comprehend what they're doing, it's just, I don't know, it still feels icky. You still, you know, there's still a level of, wow, I feel bad for this person, even if they're being, like, gross and awful towards me. Maybe that's my personal instinct that isn't shared by most people, but it is how I feel about it, and it is how my reaction would generally be, because at some level, you know, you can only be so discomfited or so mad. It's you know, it's sad. And, yeah, it's not very ethical, TM. But yeah, I can't believe we're nearly done with the exterior structure, and then I'll just have to do the interior structure. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to... The idea is I'm gonna use the two central pillars to sort of separate the... Well, first I'm gonna jump down for a photo. But I'm going to use the two central pillars. fuck, I sort of boned myself. Out of a pretty good opportunity. Come on. So yeah, the idea will be, we have enough time for this, but I'm gonna jump down and take the photo so that I can get to my extra stack of uncobbled stone. But yeah. It is kinda sad that, so much of this stuff... Shit. Okay, well, we'll wait for the water to clear, and then I'll take another photo. But yeah, because that's the last floor done. Okay, so yeah, fuck. Okay, wait, I'm doing the wrong thing. I should hit F2. There we go. And we can go back up. One really beautiful thing about Better Than Adventure, it will actually save your screenshot to your clipboard. That's really nice, because I never take... Oops. I never take screenshots in normal Minecraft with the screenshot tool. Purely because it never actually saves to the, you know... It never actually saves to the, like, clipboard. Yeah, also, I think maybe I should think of a better way of scaling up the structure than with a stupid water elevator that I have to keep picking up and placing back down. Yeah. Oh, by the way, I was thinking about it. We have a few more stacks. I was thinking about beta ARGs because they're kind of interesting in a way, which I didn't really expect. The issue is with most, like, video game-centric ARGs is, a lot of them lean into real life a little bit too much. What I mean is, a lot of them try to sort of have the haunted video game thing, but instead of doing it in a way that sort of makes sense, they take it in a, like, Sonic.exe sort of way, where it's like, oh, he's being haunted in real life. But that's not how it should be. It shouldn't be, like, it shouldn't be real-life haunting from the ARG. I find that some of the best, like, I guess creepy it's not even ARGs, really. It's, mysterious series of Minecraft videos, right? I think the best ones are always the ones that are fairly self-contained. They don't have to make internal, like, logical sense within the Minecraft world. Like, they can be a mysterious, weird entity showing up and, like, wrecking house, right? But they still need to have, like, some level of believability that you just can't really get if the entity is trying to eat you in real life. And, like, I forget, there was this one example of this video which I watched recently. Retro Gaming Now covered it. And, ooh, I nearly fell down there. It was a video of, like, this one beta world where it was, like, this one guy who's... the entire idea was to set up a channel as, like, a slow burn series of Let's Plays. Not even Let's Plays, but, like, more build videos where he would go around, like, deterministically... But he would, like, build stuff in a very sort of determined, pre-planned way. And then he would build, like, a weird structure, like a weird totem, and then the totem would begin to sort of... The totem had, like, some level of life in it, and, like, they would maybe make some noises or whatever, right? And then there were more totems that he built, and a cathedral for them to watch him build stuff, or, you know, like a glass cathedral he would watch them from. And blah, blah, blah. Eventually, it turns out there's now one of these, you know, everything's normal except one time, you know, like, oh, look, some of the red flowers disappeared from underneath here. And sometimes there are weird noises on in my fucking attic that I keep dark for whatever reason. And I don't light some of my places up for some reason. And then it's like, oh yeah, it turns out there was this thing, this void-looking thing that was maybe secretly infesting the world. Maybe the player knew, maybe not. But it seems that the other, like, that the things he built, like the big tower creatures, made maybe some kind of weird pact with that creature that it was going to free them, or it was going to give them more freedom than the, like, player character gives them. And so they signed basically like a deal with the devil, and all it did was it took control, like, of the player or whatever. And then, like, all the videos, this is what I like, when the creature thing, I don't even know what you would call it, but when it took over the player, all of the, like, in-game, like, all the videos changed in how they were made. You know, like, previously they had editing that was pretty straightforward and, like, sensible, but then it just became, like, complete nonsense. Some of the videos were, like, edited really weirdly, and the entity just didn't know what to do. It was really cool to watch, because it's not something I've ever really seen before. I really enjoyed it for what I've seen from it, and the ending was also, like, really, really, really ambiguous. Like, you know, I don't know what happened there. Oh. Is that a firefly? Whatever. Anyways, I'll see you next time when we continue. I'll get some more stuff for us. I'll see you then. By the way, my voice has kind of been tired from recording a bunch of videos after not recording videos for a while, but I think it's slowly returning. Back in the day, I could record a lot more videos at once. These days, not as much. I kind of have to retrain my voice for that. Oops. See you next time. Goodbye.